Hey guys, how we doing? Here we are with our Minolta Maxxum 3xi for Film Camera Friday. Now, this Film Camera Friday a little different than the other Film Camera Fridays in that I don't have the walk-along point of view video to go along with these shots because, well, kind of my fault, kind of the camera's fault. I'm going to blame the camera. I'm not taking the blame for this. This Minolta Maxxum line. I'm not sure if it's the whole line or the 3xi, but the hot shoe up here, the hot shoe, is not a regular hot shoe. And I'll go in here. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that. It looks like a regular hot shoe. I assumed it was a regular hot shoe, but when I pulled up in the little town that I decided to take these photos and whip off this roll of Kodak UltraMax 400 film, I usually put the GoPro on the hot shoe, and it's never a problem. Either I'll wear it on my vest or I'll put it on the hot shoe. I didn't take the vest, and when I pulled up and I started pulling everything out of the camera bag, I realized that this hot shoe is not a regular hot shoe. And so you can't fit traditional hot shoe items on top of this camera. Now, normally I also have a screw. There's a screw mount here, of course, for your tripod. And I have one of those for my GoPro, but I did not take it with me. I did not have it at the time. So that was kind of my fault. But then again, who makes a camera without a regular hot shoe? It's got a built-in pop-up flash, and that works, I'm sure works fine. So if you never plan on putting an external flash on here, I guess you're okay, and this is completely irrelevant as far as that hot shoe. But that's just really weird. I don't like it. And so this is probably, that would put one strike against this camera. Again, if I was just out shooting in general, like normal, like I did on this day, that would be no problem. But, you know, I'm trying to make a video here. So, and on this Maxxum 3xi, we're using a 28 to 80 3.5 lens. The lens is a very nice lens. It worked out very well. I paid, I believe, $20 for this lens from Robert's Camera, and I paid $18 for the camera. So yes, it is a $38 camera, but the lens, I could throw this camera away and never miss it. The lens I'll be able to use on other Minolta cameras, and I have some other Minolta cameras that coming up here on Film Camera Friday that I will be using this lens with. So for, again, an $18 camera, $20 lens, maybe vice versa, I'm not really sure. Either way, a great little combo here because I am going to use it on other cameras. Now, the camera itself, it has all the functions you're going to need. It has manual, has shutter priority, aperture priority, program, auto. It's got a timer on it. So you've got everything you need to go out and take photos. And again, if you're just going out taking an afternoon of photos and you want to use the pop-up flash, what have you, this camera should do you just fine. There's really no problem with it. Okay, I'm going to show you real quick here how we load the camera. Just go through a real quick 10-second clip here. Shouldn't take very long, just pretty basic. You put the film in and you shut the door and it'll automatically wind it, put it in the right position, and you're ready to go. So that's pretty simple, it's pretty basic, much like the other Minolta cameras out there. As far as the ergonomics of using this camera, it's got a good grip, everything is fine. But when you do want to change your settings, if you're shooting in anything other than program or auto, it's not as convenient as some cameras. It's hard to do it on the fly and make any adjustments. Manual mode, you've got to go through all kinds of different configurations and what have you. It's not a big deal. Again, if you're walking around casually taking photos, it's okay, let me adjust this, change this, boom, okay, let me adjust that, okay, and then we're good to go. Not a problem. I didn't have a problem with the settings, but it's just not as convenient as some of the other film cameras I've used that are automated. I thought the quality and the sharpness of this camera was really nice. Obviously, the lens had a lot to do with that. So a combination of this lens and the camera, the photos I have no problem with. Again, when you're shooting in a very harsh midday sun, you're going to get some vignetting, things like that going on. So it's understandable. Some people like to add that in their photos. I usually don't, but if it's there naturally, it really doesn't bother me that much. But everything was tack sharp. Nothing came out blurry. Everything came out. I just used the autofocus. Everything came out as it was supposed to. So let's let the proof's in the pudding. Let's go through these photos, and I'll walk you through a few of them, a handful. We won't go through all 24, but I'll walk you through a handful of these photos. and take a look at them, and you can see what I came up with, and go ahead and find one, pick one up on eBay, go out, shoot it yourself. If you don't like it, turn right around and resell it on eBay again. All these cameras under $25. Go out, buy you one, have some fun. You might pick up a lens that might be a little more expensive and then buy a different camera of the same line and use that same lens. You got to make sure you got the same mounts and things like that when you're using like Pentax. There's different mounts. Minolta has some different mounts that only work on certain cameras, but for the most part, a lot of them are universal. So it's just the luck of the draw, and you got to kind of dig in, do your research, and find out what you're buying. But I highly suggest grabbing some old film cameras and going out and have some fun with them. All right, guys, so we're going to take a look at these photos, and I'll be back to wrap this up. We start off with our first photo. This one, it was kind of just a nice clean shot of the top of the courthouse square, or the courthouse itself, and came in kind of nice. You've got some vignetting that's going on here with this lens, which is kind of expected. I'm shooting away from the sun, but a good start. Now this girl I came across right away, and she had a nice, I don't know what that is, pink or orange or pink orangish type of shirt. The car in the background kind of set the color off nice. It was a nice little color match there by accident. But this could be, I don't know, it might be a little red, but again, you can see I did bump up the vibrance and the saturation just a hair. Now here's the second shot of her. I got in a little closer, and the skin tones are pretty nice. Given that she was standing right in the sun, I did not try to place her in a portrait situation. I just had her turn around and look at me in the sun. That's not always the best situation, but it'll do. This one was neat because now that sign was very, very faded. If it had been crisp red letters, that would have been great. But it kind of matches the facade of the courthouse, so that's not too bad. I thought it was just a nice, I like this one the way it's framed. If you were the owner of the Franklin Cleaners, you'd probably love this photo. Now we move on, just another courthouse shot, and this one, you always want to try to put some foliage in there, that sort of thing, just to break it up a little bit of a different angle to it. But you can see we've got nice crisp lines. The focus is very nice with this lens, and the sensor on this camera, I mean the mirror, everything, it does a decent job. Again, you can see some vignetting up there in the tops and the corners, but kind of expected with a cheap lens. Now this was a neat shot. I really like the way this one turned out. This is the town itself. I'm shooting from the front of the courthouse, so you get kind of in the foreground the trees and the foliage, the grass, and then you get the urban side in the background. So I thought that was kind of neat. I like taking shots like this in these little small towns. Kind of a classic shot looking up. Would have been great to have a bird or something in there floating around, but as it is, again, we've got some nice, it is just very crisp, very clear. The focus works very well with this lens, and the camera accommodates it very well. This had some great colors there. As you see, I always pull down my highlights, I pull up my shadows. That really makes a big difference. If you don't do that in Lightroom, you might want to try that. I think you'll really like that. It works on almost every photo I use, whether it's portrait or landscape or what have you. And I just add a bump, just a touch of clarity, a touch of vibrance, and a touch of saturation in these. This Kodak UltraMax 400 film really does bring out a lot of great colors, and I really like working with it, especially the oranges and the reds. So this one, kind of a boring shot, just shot down the street, but again, just rattling off 24 exposures here and trying to get as much of the town represented as I could. We move on to the local grind. I thought this, they did a lot of work here in their front windows, so I thought it was very photogenic, a nice shot, just a nice generalized shot. Again, as you can see, we've got, well, I'm going to take some contrast off of this one and add a little bit back in. And, well, I guess I added back in what we had. So, yeah, just a nice shot. And again, we're back to the art craft. I'm not really thrilled with the way the guy was placed in there. This really wasn't a craftfully placed image. I don't know if that's the way you would say that, but and of course the sun was shining right on the marquee, so everything was a little washed out. And again, I could probably go in and add a lot of contrast. I could probably add a lot of orange and red and really make this pop, but then it would start looking fake. And, it was the middle of the afternoon, so I don't know what I could really do with this that would make a whole lot of difference. So let's move on. So as I was out shooting, I came across this lovely lady doing, I would guess would be her senior portraits, and it's always neat to come across people taking photos. It's always fun to take a photo of people taking photo. They were gracious enough to allow me to do that. Looked like they were having a lot of fun, so took me back to the days of not only my senior portraits, but doing a lot of senior portraits and things. So it's always neat in the spring to see people out doing this sort of thing, and I just thought I'd snap a shot of it. Okay, so we grabbed a couple folks here walking by. I thought it would be neat to throw them in front of the beer hall. I'm not sure they're old enough to drink, but nonetheless, it made for a really cool backdrop, and they were game to play along. Now, with this one, again, I set them right in the sun. You would not do this if you were doing portraits or senior pictures, things like that. But I was just walking along, so I thought, hey, let's just go ahead and throw them in the sun here. They were already sitting there. And so rather than try to find a bunch of shade and all that, I went ahead and just took the shot as it was. And for what it was, it came out fine. Again, not a great portrait, but to show the quality of the lens, I did add a little green tint in there. Also, because again, you've got the green facade here of that beer hall. So always nice to take these kind of architecture shots, even if there's nobody in them. And again, I really like the way the green kind of I don't know, just it set itself off very well in the sun. Maybe we can darken it up a little bit there. Yeah. Okay, so this one, the bowling pin. Now this was one that I definitely cropped because I saw it from about a block away and thought, wow, this would be really cool. I thought I would be splitting it with the way the shadow goes there. I thought I might even black that out or something, turn it into black and white. It's kind of boring this way, so I think I went through earlier and played with this, so I'm gonna go back and do it again. And I think we're gonna go ahead and make this a horizontal. See what I can do with it here. There's got to be some way to play with these lines and this bowling pin. It's really cool. I really like the red. Wish I could have done something more with that shadow. If I'd have been able to get the entire sun on there, it would have been really cool. But it is what it is. Here's kind of a shot of Old Glory that, I don't know, not much to this one. Not something that, again, you got a lot of vignetting up there that's natural. That's not added in Lightroom, so that's kind of natural. So, okay, so I zoomed in and got the top of the courthouse. The goal, I got a lot of courthouse shots here, but the goal when you walk into a town like this, when I do it, the idea is to kind of get a good representation of the town. And if they've got a courthouse square like this and a courthouse, you want to get, those shots. So nothing dramatic on their own, but just kind of neat as a collection. And again, another shot here without the lawn in the foreground of the town. I just like these old-fashioned looking towns with the different marquees and different style buildings from different eras all mashed together. So really neat. And to top it off, of course, I'm not sure who this gentleman is. Maybe his last name is Franklin. I don't know. Looks like it could be Daniel Boone. I'm not really sure who this gentleman is. I guess I should have found out. Could probably look that up for Franklin, Indiana, and see who that is. But maybe I'll put it on the screen here for you. I should probably look that up, and we'll put his name on the screen. But anyway, it's neat to be able to shoot into the sun. I do this a lot with digital, but with film, you don't know what you got until you shoot it and you get home. So it was kind of interesting just to guess on these. The camera did a great job metering these on its own, and I thought those turned out really neat there for the last couple of shots. Okay, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for our Minolta Maxxum 3xi camera. Film camera, 35 millimeter with our 28 to 80, 3.5 to, what is it, probably a 5.6, something like that lens. I was pretty happy with everything overall. The photo quality, there was really nothing in there that I had a problem with other than that dang hot shoe. So, but for 18 bucks, can you really complain? I can, because I use the hot shoe. If you don't use a hot shoe and you bought this camera online, you'd have no problem. My only advice is, you might want to stay away from the individuals online when you purchase these cameras. Again, you might resell and you're an individual, but I'm not saying avoid yourself, but I have found that of the probably 12 cameras, maybe 13 cameras I've purchased already, 2 of them were from individuals. The others were from places like Robert's Camera. They charge a little bit more, but they also have more details and the defects of what's going on, what's wrong with the camera. And I know Robert's Camera, for instance, they don't support this channel or anything, but I've bought most of my film cameras from them because they're local. But they go through and give details on what's wrong with them, so that's a great starting point. And then I can look at the camera and decide if I want it. A few of them I purchased online. I didn't pre-screen all these cameras, but if you buy from a reputable company, reputable place, you'll pay a few bucks more for these cameras. But actually, you may not even pay more money. What am I saying? These were all under 25 bucks, so you're really not going to pay more. But you tend to get a little better description. I bought 2. And one of my, I just sent it back because it was in such bad shape and it was not listed as that bad a shape. So I'd buy, and that was from an individual. So I would tend to buy from the stores if you can, pay a few extra bucks, and when you open it up, you're going to be able to pretty much pop some batteries in and go out and have some fun with it instead of being disappointed by, cobwebs and stuff like that. So just a little bit of purchase advice there. So that's going to do it for our video this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed this installment of Film Camera Friday. Did you like it better with me going through those photos like that, or do you like the point of view videos better? Or maybe a combination. I don't know. Let me know. So I'm going to do 52 of these this year. That's the goal anyway. We might miss a week or two, of course. Who knows? We might have some blizzards, snowstorms, earthquakes, volcanoes. I don't know. Whatever the case, an invasion from Mars. I don't know. So there may be a week or so that we have to deal with that sort of thing. But in general, the idea is to get 50 to 52 cameras shown on this channel in the next 50 to 52 weeks. So hopefully you enjoy that. And if you'd like to see all those cameras, please subscribe, please like this video, and we'll have another one out next Friday. All right, guys, until then, we'll see you and happy shooting.